Today, we want to look at literal equations and how we can solve them. So this is a step-by-step process of how one can tackle literal equations, or we call them change of subject. And this can be found in this Journal of Mathematical Acumen and Research, where I published it with one of my students, Emmanuel Carlton, now in the United States of America. So the first question is that we want to make the indicated variable the subject of the following question. So the first one is that we have our v being equal to 1/3 pi r squared h, and we are changing the subject to h. And so we write the problem. We have v being equal to this. What we do is that we multiply both sides by 3. So v times 3 gives us 3v pi r squared h times 3. That 3 will divide what we have here. So the next step gives us 3v being equal to pi r squared h. The next step is that because we have in mind h, which should become the change of subject, or which should become the subject, what we do is that we pick pi r squared and divide both sides of the equal sign by pi r squared. So we get 3v over pi r squared h all over pi r squared. So pi will divide pi, r squared will divide r squared, and then we have our h. So we interchange and bring our h here, then 3v on pi r squared remains. So if you have this expression and want to make h the subject, we get h being equal to 3v all over pi r squared. We are moving on to the second question, where we have our t being equal to 2 pi times square root of L over G to L. And so we write our original expression. And then what we do is that we multiply both sides, or we square both sides. So t squared, from this level, we get to t squared. We square our 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4. We square our pi, we get pi squared. And then the square root, when we square it, because we are multiplying by itself, it gives us back our L on G. The next step is that this is the multiplication sign. So let's simplify it and go to the next step. So t squared gives us this expression. The next step is that what we are going to do is we are going to try to get rid of this fraction. So we multiply both sides of the equal sign by G. So we get t squared times G being equal to 4 pi squared times our L. The next step is that because we want to change the subject to L, we divide both sides by 4 pi squared, leaving our L. And when we do that, that takes us to the step. So 4 we divide 4, pi squared divide pi squared, we get our L. So when we interchange, we bring our L here. Then on the right-hand side, we get t squared G all over 4 pi squared, and that takes us there. So from this expression, when we want to make L the subject, that will take us to L being equal to t squared G all on 4 pi squared. The next question that I want to look at is that we have our E being equal to this expression and want to change the subject to V. So we start with our expression. The whole of this is the same as mv squared on 2. Now I want to get rid of the fraction, so we multiply both sides by 2. When we do that, we'll get rid of this 2, but we multiply this side by this 2. So get 2e being equal to mv squared, because when we multiply this by 2, the 2 here will divide the 2 there. And that takes us to this level. Now, at this point, we have in mind that I want to make v the subject. So we divide both sides by our m. So 2e over m, mv squared over m. And that will take us to this point. We interchange, so we bring our v squared being equal to 2e over m on the side. Now this is v squared, but we need v. So we find the square root of both sides. And so this one will give us our v for the side. And so we say that when we want to change the subject of this expression to v, then we get v being equal to square root of 2e on m. Want to move on to the fourth question. And we have our f being equal to m sub 1 minus m sub 2 all over m sub 1 plus m sub 2 times g. And we are changing the subject to m sub 2. So from here, we multiply both sides of the equal sign by m sub 1 plus m sub 2. And that gives us this expression. Over here, when we did that, we just simplified the terms. We simplified the terms. And so that took us to this point. So when we multiply this side by m sub 1 plus m sub 2, this will go away because it will divide. And then we'll get it on this side. And so we get it this way with the brackets open and closed. And then we expand the brackets. So multiply through by our f, we get this. F, we get that. We have our g, so we multiply by g, multiply by g, we get this expression. And then we rearrange, grouping the m sub 1s and then the m sub 2s, and that takes us to this point. So over here, we do the rearrangement. We already have our fm sub 2, so that will be there. We have our gm sub 2, so we add gm sub 2 to this side, and then we add gm sub 2 to this side. So the minus and the plus will nullify, but then we get our gm sub 2 here. And then because we don't need a fm sub 1, we also subtract this from both sides, and that takes us to this point. Now at this point, we now try to factorize our m sub 2 out, and that takes us here with our brackets. And over here too, we try to simplify this by bringing our m sub 1 out. Now we need our m sub 2 to be the subject, so we divide both sides by f plus g. So this will divide that, we get our m sub 2, and then this will stay. So when we want to make m sub 2 the subject in this expression, we'll get m sub 2 being equal to m sub 1, brackets open, j minus f's, brackets close all over f plus g. We now want to move on to the next question. We have the whole of this expression being equal to that. I want to make u the subject. So we write the whole of this down. We look for our LCM, which is UFV. So we multiply this by UFV. We multiply this by UFV, multiply that by UFV. But before we do that, we find the LCM of this expression, that will be FV. So F, we divide that, we get our V. V times 1 gives us V. V will divide this, we get our F. F times 1 gives us F. So we get V minus F all over FV. And then we multiply both sides of the equal sign by UFV. When we do that, then basically we can simplify that, but we can say that we also do cross multiplication. So our FV times 1 takes us here, we interchange them. And then our U times V minus F will also take us there. At this point, we want to make U the subject. So straight away, pick what we have in the bracket. Then we divide both sides of the equal sign by V minus F, and that takes us to the next step. So V minus F will divide V minus F, and then we get our U. Then on the right-hand side, every expression there will stay. So when we want to make U the subject of this expression, we'll get U being equal to FV all over V minus F. If you have any questions, you can send them to my email, Obeng-Denteh@gmail.com. Thank you.